That's why you guys can't hear me. I've been talking this whole time. My microphone wasn't even on. Can you guys hear me now? Sorry, I was talking for the longest time and you guys couldn't even hear me. Can you hear me, Shell? I'm just waiting for some more people. I see 8 people here. 9 people are here now. If you guys are, I was reading your lips. Could you actually hear what I could say? I think you could, right? Hey, Roxanne, how are you doing? Welcome. Oh, you can hear me now. I'm so sorry. I always forget. So I have this microphone, and when the light is not red, that means it's not on. And I just looked over, and the reason why you guys couldn't hear me is because I didn't tap it and it didn't go on. But thank you so much, guys, for joining. Um, Roxanne, Roxanne, this isn't your first time, right? You've seen my Facebook lives, right? So it's a little bit different. I'm not wearing my sun. Hey, Don, how's it going? You made it. My first live chat on YouTube. There's gonna be a lot because this is actually my second live on YouTube. So it's gonna be. I mean, the environment's different, but you've seen my Inside the Mind of RLQ, which is the same scenery. But you guys are probably not used to me not wearing my sunglasses. So today is a very special day. I have learned to read lips after working with children that are deaf last spring. Oh, that's why you can hear. Hey, Joanne, how's it going, Joanne? Where are you guys from? I know most of you guys are probably from the States, right? So there are. I'm just gonna wait for a little bit more people, but again, I just want to thank you so much for everyone that has subscribed to my channel. I have been working on my channel. I actually started my channel like 2 years ago. So those 3,000 subscribers, I mean, it was a lot of hard work just to get to that amount. So I am very, very happy about how far my channel has gone. And I am continuously trying to create more content. As you can see, there's a lot more video content on my channel now. But thank you so much for subscribing. You don't know how much that means to me. And also, I want to thank you guys. There's a link in the description below if you see it. I do have 11 desktop wallpapers that you can use for your laptop or your desktop computer at home. They were originally supposed to be for included in my ebook, which you could purchase. But you guys are so amazing that I decided, you know what, I'm just going to give it away for free. But if you don't use your desktop or laptop a lot, there is another link below it, which will take you to where you can download mobile wallpapers and lock screens for your phone. So you can go either or. If you see the link below, you can click it and then you can go straight to it. Amelia, how are you doing, Amelia? Where are you from, Amelia? Carla, is that Southern California? Oh, I'm so jealous. You guys have like constant, like amazing weather there. That is Southern California, right, Carla? How are you doing? You're just amazing and inspiring as well. Very talented. Oh, thank you, Shell. You know what? Like, remember I was telling you guys I was gonna sing and stuff. I am working on it. I haven't forgotten. So I do have a list of the songs I do want to sing. I am practicing, but I didn't forget. I am practicing, and I'm going to sing for you guys. You guys might have heard me sing on 2 lives ago. I think it was. Yeah, I sung Hallelujah right at the end of the live. So if you want to go back, you could go back. You can hear me live. It wasn't that great, but I really want to sing it with music next time, so you guys can actually hear me sing with music. North Carolina. Yes, I was right. I was looking at the wallpapers for myself, but I can't pick which one. Yeah, there is a lot. There is a lot to choose from. But you can download them all, Shell. You can download them all. So I'll just wait for a couple. I have 15 people online. That's actually pretty good. But this is great because the less people there are, the more I can talk to, right, on the chat. Just ask me a question in the chat and I'll try to get back to you while reading it. Yeah, so how's your weekend, guys? I mean, have you been able to spend the time to focus on yourself and to kind of picture what you can see, how you can see yourself within the next year, right? Like that's kind of the plan that we want to do for ourselves, is instead of just trying to think of worrying about or get anxious about what's going to happen within the year, you could spend that time and energy to create a positive future for yourself, right? So you basically kind of create a list for yourself. It's almost like a New Year's resolution, right? But you're doing it. You don't have to wait for New Year's to make those things happen, right? You can actually do those on a daily basis, right? And then you can create just make a list of the top 3 things that you want to achieve before the end of the year or within a 12-month span, right? And then you take those 3 things, right? And then you just do it. you try to make it become a reality. And sometimes it might not take a year, but at least you know what are the three things, one, two, or three things that mean something to you that you can work on so that you can become a better version of yourself, right? Carla, yes, Southern California cold. It's cold there. I think you're 50, 53. Oh man, I would take that 53 for what we have right now. I mean, 53 is kind of cold, but I mean, our snow is coming soon, so I'm not really looking forward to that cold weather. Roxanne, doing great with my weekend. Always taking a long walk with my girlfriend, enjoying the weather. You know what? Those walks, man. Man, I love those walks. I used to hate taking those walks. Like because I was afraid to go out. I was afraid to go to show my face in public because knew that like when people saw me, they knew there was something wrong with me already because you could tell already like when you're going through like anxiety or depression, you could tell right away that that person is worrying or something is going on, right? Like sometimes I would just go out and they would just be like, is are you okay? Are you sick? Like like, and that's why I was just like, no, I can't. But then, as I was healing myself, I knew that by going out, and breathing the fresh air and just being around nature and taking those walks, they are so helpful. They like, my mom had to force me to go for those walks, but and I was just like, at the same time, I could spend time with my mother, right? And so I took that opportunity, and she took me on these walks, and they were so helpful. 43 during the night. Oh, wow. 43 is kind of cold. Joanne, I'm not too great. My sister just passed away, so I'm trying to stay positive. I'm so sorry to hear that. I think did you mention that on my last live, Joanne, about your sister? I'm so sorry to hear about your loss. I know it's tough. My father passed away like 12 years ago, and it's really, really tough for my family, especially for my mom. My mom I don't know how she was able to get through it. She knew him for almost all her entire life, right? But I mean, it's going to take time, for your heart to heal, for anything to get better, because there's just so many memories, especially when it's that close to a family member. So you have to remember to stay strong. Okay, Joanne, just stay strong and cry as much as you can, because those tears, when you release them, it's going to help you. Okay, sorry for oh yeah. Yeah, so I was just saying, oh, you could take those walks. Have you been trying to take those walks, Joanne? Because those walks are truly gonna help. If you have a dog too, that would help too. I mean, Kona, like like basically was a life changer for me when we brought Kona, our dog, into our family, and her just the unconditional love that she has, and the loyalty and everything about her. And maybe if you do have a dog, you probably know. I know Shell does because she has Bean, and Bean has made a huge difference in Shell's life, right, Shell? Hey, Farhana, you made it, Farhana. Farhana, I love you. You are amazing. I talk about Farhana a lot because, and I talk a lot about Shell because they're just like they've been on my page since the beginning, and they've seen my growth, the growth of my Facebook page, and they're just always there. And everyone here that's on the chat, I mean, you wouldn't be, you guys are supporting me like I couldn't. Don't have the words to describe how much it means to me for you guys to actually be here on my YouTube channel. And you guys are so awesome, and I love you guys so much. Walk my three dogs. Carla's got three dogs. We have two actually, and sometimes we have three because my niece brings her dog over, and my wife actually sometimes walks all three, just like you, Carla. She walks. She has two. She's holding two dogs, and then the other dog is like tied around her waist. So, oh, that's so funny. Happy weekend, evening time. Love to Kona. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Kona's actually right there. So if you just joined the chat, remember you can get your free wallpapers as promised. You could just go to the links below and you just click it. And then also, if you haven't subscribed, this is a great time for you to subscribe to my channel. I'm sorry I haven't been able to Inside the Mind of RLQ yet, episode 3. The weekend's a great time to do it. I think I'm going to do it. I've been doing like so many things, so just trying to get as much content as possible. I'm trying to get as much work done in the day, and sometimes, like, I think the other day, before I went to bed, I asked myself, like, in my live, I asked, that exercise where before you go to sleep you ask yourself, did I do enough? I did that to myself like yesterday or the night before, and even though I worked all day, I still wasn't satisfied. Like, I felt as though I was missing something, that I could have accomplished more. That's the difference between who I was before and who I am now today. Right? Before, I never thought of that at all. I just wanted the day to be over and done, right? And then when I wake up in the morning, I just wanted the day to be over and done. But it's not like that anymore because everything started to change up here. The way I think, the way how I see life, and the way my perspective on what you need to do for yourself in order to achieve success, right? And that is to utilize and try to do as much as you can on a daily basis, right? We're sleeping like what, 8 hours per day. So we actually only have, like what, 24 minus 18 is what, 16 hours, or maybe even take naps during the day, right? So you have to take each minute that you have, right? And I know sometimes you go to work and you're exhausted, and you just want to go to sleep, and that's okay, right? But if you do have that spare 10, 15 minutes or 20 minutes, you can reserve that time for yourself to work on a better version of yourself, right? Carla, I think they rescued me. Carla, you're talking about your dogs, right? Oh, thank you so much, Don. The 3,000 really meant a lot to me. As you could see on my page, I was really pushing. I was like, oh man, I don't know if I should request any more subscribers because I feel so bad. But I remember the first time I think I was like over 100 away, and I posted, I wanted some subscribers, and you guys just instantly said, okay, it's done, and I received over 100 subscribers in a day. So I was so appreciative, and I'm so thankful for your support, guys. It really means so much to me. I feel that fur baby bean saved me from myself. Yeah, they do. It's crazy how powerful dogs can be, right? And not just dogs, right? Even if you have a cat, cats, pets, anything, anything that feels that you're not, that they can make you feel that you're not alone. Because even though, like when I was going through my darkness, even I had my family all around me, okay? Like they were there for me, but it's still, for some reason, I still felt like I was alone. It's because I created this dark world for myself, and I didn't want them to be a part of that dark world, right? I didn't want them to feel that negative energy, even though I knew that they were still trying to love me as much as possible. And I think that's why I shied away from them, and I was so embarrassed about myself, and I was actually disgraced. It was a disgrace, right, for myself, that I was like, I can't believe that, you know, this happy Roger father figure, right, that everyone looked up to before, is now the complete opposite, and now I'm just an embarrassment to my family. So, and then Kona stepped into my house. I mean, actually, I actually said no to the dog, because my wife and my daughters were like, "Oh, I think we should bring home a dog," and so blah 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 blah, right? And I remember I was lying on the couch. I woke in the morning. I heard them talking because our kitchen is like right beside our living room. And then I got up and I said, "Are you guys crazy? Like, how are you going to be able to bring a dog to our household if you can't even take care of me? I can't take care of myself. So what makes you think like when they go to school and my wife goes to work, who's going to take care of the dog, right? Because I'm not." I'm not going to take care of the dog because I'm lying on the couch all day thinking, I'm worrying and thinking about negative stuff all day long. But they did it anyways, and thank God that they did, because right when Kona walked through that door, I already felt her presence, her love energy already. I could feel it from right when she stepped into the door. And when she first came to me and landed on my lap, and I looked into her eyes, I already felt myself change in a way. It was a small change, but gradually it started to become like, I could. It's the love energy. You know what I'm saying? If you guys have dogs, or you understand what I'm talking about, like what they can do for you. And I'm telling you, like dogs heal. Dogs can heal you. Like before I go to bed, I like kiss her, and I just breathe in, like I have my face like on her fur, and I just breathe in, and I just absorb all that, like, because they don't worry, they don't, it's all love, and and just by doing that every single day, I was getting better every single day. It healed me. Like, she was a big portion, besides reading quotes and everything else that I did to heal myself. That Kona was definitely one of the big factors of my healing process. Roxanne, I love dogs. My whole family wants to have dogs, but unfortunately, I'm a little bit allergic of that. There are some dogs that I think, I'm not sure which type of dog it is, but there are dogs that are, yeah, that people aren't affected, right, Shell? I think there are some dogs, right? Hey, there's Chris. Hey, Chris, you made it. I your message retracted. I'm not sure why that happened, but I'm glad you can make it, Chris. Chris is an amazing writer. Th- I had dogs in my old life. Oh, you had dogs in your old life. Chris has been writing some great stuff, and I've seen it. So I talk a lot about Chris too. Yeah, so dogs are crazy. Dogs are if you don't have a dog and you feel that you're alone, and like if you're just getting to the point where you feel you're getting a little anxious or getting depressed, and if you can afford one, dogs can really do something great for you. Yeah, there are hypoallergenic dogs. Just have to do the yeah, exactly. I know some of my neighbors, they have those type of dogs, and my mom used to be allergic to dogs. That's why we never wanted to bring home any dogs, But we kind of one day we just bought a dog and we brought it home, and my mom's like, "What are you doing?" Right? And then I was like, she was so cute. We had to buy her. She was like looking in the. Oh man, yeah. But that was our previous dog before Kona. Carla, poodles, type hypo. Yeah, there you go. Poodles are right. I know cats. A lot of people allergic to cats. I don't think I'm too allergic to cat, but one time my sister-in-law, I she had 5 cats, okay, and she was in the process of moving to Alberta or something, and she's like, "Can you can you babysit my cats for like 5 months?" I'm like, "Okay." So we had 5 cats in our basement, and like when I walked downstairs, I could already feel like I don't know what it was, but I was so itchy. So we were like cat sitting her 5 cats, and they were all in the basement. And I had to clean up that mess too, when she took the cats back. Oh my gosh, man. I had to vacuum like crazy. I vacuumed everything. This is not the basement story that I was talking about that I learned how to focus. This was prior to that. Okay. So I had to clean my basement twice, right? But the one where I healed myself, that story, the focus one, that was a big job, okay, because that one took me 3.5 weeks. So, oh, you don't have pets. Fish? You can have fish. Fish is actually pretty nice. We used to have this huge aquarium. We had like fish in there. And it was nice too, just to be able to, it's like you zone into the aquarium and you could just watch the fish swim and stuff, just something that can help you relax your mind, right? And to bring you that a bit of calmness. I actually have this thing behind me. I don't know if you can see it. Is it backwards? It says, let go, embrace the positive, reconnect with nature, make time for those who matter the most, rise with the sun, reach for the stars, love always. This isn't my quote though, but it was something I picked up a few years ago, but I thought it was beautiful. If you can see it, and you guys know about my downloadable Etsy quote prints, right? That I'm going to be doing. So I will be doing stuff like this too, where you can download, but they are going to be about $2. Yeah, all you have to do is just download my quote, and then you can have it printed and you can have it framed just like this, and you can hang it on your wall, put it on your desk, and stuff like that. That's another thing that I'm still working on. So that's why I'm still pretty. David, hey, how's it going, David? How are you doing? Sorry, I just missed the chat. Did you enjoy your Halloween walk? Are you talking about my trail, the haunted Halloween thing? Oh man, that was a. If you haven't watched that, I'm sure most of you guys have seen it already, man. It was crazy fun. Uh, we, we lined up for 2 hours, but didn't expect anything out of it. We just heard that from family and friends that it was a great experience. So when we walked in there, it was dark, and I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to film it. But as you can see through the video, there were some scenes that were pretty kind of scary. Like it didn't scare me, but you can hear my son's friend. She was yelling in the background, and she actually made the video very fun. Tracy, you made it. How are you doing? Pets are great. We're blessed. Allergies are something we manage. So glad you got Kona. Yeah, I'm so happy. I'm gonna try grabbing her after. She's actually she's waiting for mommy to come home from work. Okay, so did I miss anybody for Hana? Wow, beautiful words. Thank you so much for Hana and Don. Chris, what's the name of your? Yeah, you got definitely Don. You got to check out Chris's stuff. It's incredible. Because read a couple of the writings and I was just so impressed. So if you, Chris, you can put your Facebook link there if you want to, so that people can check it out and then see your amazing work. I love the writing, and you're inspiring me a lot to go on to writing and oh, sorry, I didn't see that. I love the writing, and you're inspiring me a lot to go with writing and post on my Facebook today. Thank you a lot for it. Hey, you're welcome, very welcome, Chris. I'm telling you, I know that like that this is why like I know where you're coming from, Chris, because I was in the exact same position too when I first started writing quotes. I really like loved doing it, but I was like, how am I going to get it out there? My goal, my purpose, my mission was to try to help as many people as I possibly could. What is the best way to do it, right? Is social media. How am I going to get there? And then ask myself, are you determined to do it? Are you willing to put all your energy into it? Do you have a passion for it? If these are the three things that you're thinking about, then you definitely have to go and pursue it, because I'm telling you, the beginning is going to be really tough for anything that you start off, especially with social media, right? But the most important thing here is to never give up. Okay, I went through many stages throughout my journey with writing quotes that I almost did give up. Okay, like you guys might have heard me say that there was a point in time where I stopped writing for 3 weeks, right? 3 weeks, no, actually, sorry, not 3 weeks, 3 months. I stopped writing for 3 months, so I wasn't posting anything, right? Because I just felt like I was getting a one like here, one share there, and I was looking at those numbers, and I wasn't satisfied, and I just felt like I was going to be disappointed again, because if you've seen my about me video, I talk about my successes and my failures, and it just seemed like every single time I did something, I would always fail at the end of it, right? But it taught me to keep going, and I always talk about that quote, remember why you started. So that's when I started to tell that to myself every single day, and I said, you know what, Roger, you got to keep going. You got to keep writing. You got to keep doing everything you can possible to get your quotes out there so that people can read it. Because you know why? Because you made a promise to yourself that you wanted to help people, right? And so I just kept posting. I kept writing. Even if I, had moments where I wanted to cry a few times, because I was just like, this is something I really want to do, but um, it's not happening. I didn't see any progress, right? But I kept pushing and pushing. And look at my page now, guys. Like, I am like about 5,000 followers short from a million. I'm almost at a million followers because of you guys, because of your amazing support. I have 3,000. I know it's not like a million subscribers on YouTube, but 3,000 is still a start, right? I look at it as still a great achievement for myself. Starting from 0 subscribers to 3,000, and creating my content. Like, because when I first started, when wanted to share my story, I wanted to start a YouTube channel first to speak like I am doing today, right? Speaking to all of you to tell you about my story. But then I was telling, how am I going to do that? I have no subscribers, I have no followers, I have nobody knows about me. So is YouTube really is the best thing for me to do to start? And that's when I started, I have to start writing quotes, because I think quotes would be the first step. And then that step would later on lead me to my YouTube channel, which exists today, right? So Chris, never give up. Just keep writing and just post, right? And then eventually people are going to see your stuff. Like, today is an opportunity for you to share a link, and then people here know about you now, right? So, you know, you just never know when these opportunities come. Remember my quote I just wrote about, sometimes things just eventually find you, right? There you go. And so just trust your journey and trust the process, and you're going to see things happen for you. Go to the chat. I think I missed a couple of things. Let me see. Farhana Shell Bean is snoring. Tracy, my son got me new earbuds so I can enjoy the podcast without wires. That's awesome. I think I need a new pair of earbuds too. What's funny? I was putting my earbuds on. I was talking with my brother, and he made this joke, and I was eating, and he made me laugh. And then one of my earbuds fell into my soup, and then I was like, "Oh man." So that's why I have to get new earbuds. But I thought that was a funny story. David, I've been down that road. Hey, David, how's it going? How's it going, David? Which road are you talking? Are you talking about not giving up or giving up? That road to success, because it is a really tough road to travel. I'm telling you guys, but you have to really just believe in yourself, and you just have to tell yourself never to give up, right? It's funny because the other night, I was watching some of Kobe Bryant's memorable, like, motivational speeches, and he was talking about how he throws all his eggs in one basket, right? And the reason why he said that is because like he says that, if you have a passion for something and you have like plan B and like a backup plan, it's like that means that you don't really have 100% focus into working on your passion and making it become a reality, right? So that's why he's like, basketball is my passion, and it's like I am gonna take everything I got to make myself become a very successful basketball player, and that's why, that's what he said. He threw all his eggs in one basket, right? So if you have that kind of mindset and you think to yourself that way, and you said, okay, no matter what, this is who I want to be. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take me to get there. And nothing is going to stop me from getting to my success. Then, you know, I'm going to have to trust my journey. I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to work every single day to make it become my reality. Right. Joanne, your quotes have got me through this week. Oh, I'm so glad it did. I'm so glad it did. Hopefully my videos have too. When I wake up in the morning, and you guys probably know that when I wake up in the morning, I do think you guys are the first thing I think about. And a lot of the things that I do think about because I relate to how I was when I used to wake up in the morning thinking negative about my life and about my future and all that stuff. So I backtrack and I said, what was I thinking about when I woke up in the morning? What are the questions that I would ask someone, or what would I like to hear from someone to excuse me, tell me that would, give me that hope so I can stand up on my feet and raise my head up and say today's going to be a great day, right? So that's what goes on through my head before I write the quote. And I'm so glad that my quotes have been able to help you guys, because I know that it's tough, especially when you're in a very, very dark situation, or you're in a dark chapter in life. And all of a sudden you're like, why does life always have to throw me a big wall in front of me? Just as I was going to see the top of the mountain, all the boulders start crashing down on me again, right? And it happens, right? It happens, and that's when you tell yourself, like, I, I'm just, I can't stand this anymore. Like no matter how hard I try, no matter what I do, it just seems like I'm never gonna get there, right? But what I had to do, because if you see my video, I went through a ton of that stuff. My brother and I had this really huge, successful comic book publishing company, right? At one point, we had higher sale, like we were at there's a top 100. My brother and I, our company, we were actually outselling Marvel and DC comics, right? Our comic book Transformers was number one on the top 100 list. Okay, this is when the Spider-Man movie came out, and we actually beat Spider-Man at the time, right? And 2 months in a row, Transformers number one was the number one selling comic book. Okay, so when you're at that point and you're telling yourself, "Oh my gosh, we've made it. Everything's good. We're set for life." Guess what? It didn't happen. Our company was successful to a certain point, but then everything came crashing down on us. And then my brother and I had to close the company. So all that hard work, we poured our blood and sweat and everything into that company, but we still saw it come crashing down, right? And if you saw my video or I think it was my podcast, I was talking about. Oh, it was the video I was talking about how you're not lost, how you don't have to feel so lost in life and stuff. I was lost. I felt that, like, here it goes again. I was successful, and now I'm back to the old drawing board. Back to square one. I have to start from scratch. And so I was at home. I was I was taking care of my kids because they were young at the time, but at the same time, I felt so empty inside here because I was like, now what? Now what am I going to do? And I almost gave up there too, right? Not like I wanted to harm myself, but I'm just like, here, like, when am I going to be successful? And to have something that big come down crashing on you and starting from the scratch again, like, I had no income. I had 4 kids at the time. My wife had to start working, and I stayed home taking care of my kids. And then my accident happened. That's when I fell. I hit my head, I had my concussion, and then you know anxiety happened, depression happened, and I hit rock bottom. All this stuff happened, but it all happened for a reason, right? Um, I'm writing quotes now. I'm helping people all around the world with my motivational content. And that's when I said to myself, maybe that quote when I read it while I was healing about trusting your journey actually makes sense because I look back at everything, even all the way back to when I was a kid, and I glued everything together. I put the pieces together, and everything kind of made sense. How I met my wife, what schools I chose to go to, the people that I met, my past relationships with my ex girlfriends, like everything. I started putting everything together, right? Why my father passed away, all these certain things, that affected me in my life, and I was trying to make an understanding of why it happened, what I learned from those experiences, and did it actually lead me to who I am right now, currently, right? And it makes so much sense, right? Even during that darkness that I went through, man, it was tough. It was like I do not ever want to go back there because it was so dark. But I have to look at it as, hey, you know what? God gave me a second chance when I fell. He gave me a second chance, and I said I have to do something about this second chance of mine. I have to, do as much as I can to help as many people as I can. Not just that, but also help myself too. Because if I'm able to show a better version of myself than I was before, and people can see that the difference between someone who had hit rock bottom to someone who's so confident about himself and believes himself so much, that there is between that gap, that journey in between from darkness to light is it's not a fairy tale, guys. It's a true story. This can happen to you, right? But remember, I tell you that it's not about waiting, because what I did before back then, I was waiting every single day for my happiness to appear, right? But I had to tell myself that I had to start creating this reality for myself. You have to create it. You have to use the time that you have on a daily basis to take those little steps so that you can start heading towards that direction where you can see yourself being happy again, right? Right? And sometimes it's hard, right? Because you can't see it because there's so much in front of you, so much darkness in front of you, that fog that I talk about. And that's when I talk about that in my basement story, how focus is the first thing that you have to do in order to get any of that other stuff, the whole stuff about loving yourself and all that kind of stuff, right? You have to have focus first, because the goal here is to try to stop your negative thoughts from attacking your mind, right? So that you can start, you know, seeing at least a small window of light, so that you can start creating more of those and start opening more doors for yourself, right? Until you can see a clear path. And then when you start seeing that clear path, that's when everything comes like it's just, you see this big, nice, beautiful painting in front of you, and you're just like, I need to get there. I need to get there. And you're just gonna keep taking those steps to get to that beautiful painting every single day, right? I missed some chats. I'm so sorry. You're very, very welcome, Chris. You're very, very welcome. Let's see. You can't see your link, Chris. Chris, can you send me a message and then maybe I can put it on the chat here? Did you actually try writing it on the chat? Because I'm not sure if it blocked you. I don't know what the settings are. Yeah, focus is definitely so important, guys. I'm telling you, like, the reason why I wasn't able to do any of that stuff, the reason why I wasn't able to heal myself, right, was because I was so unfocused. I was focused though. I was focused on my negative thoughts. I was so focused about this dark world that I was living in, right? And I created that for myself, right? So I was focused, but I was focusing on the wrong things, right? So then I had to make sure that I had to flip. I basically turned everything around and said, what is the other side of a dark world, right? How am I going to get there? What can I do about up here that I can start creating that world that I want to be in, right? And that's when you start to understand how to focus, then you're gonna want to achieve more. Like, you want to try to you're gonna want to accomplish more things, right? That's when I started working out again. I started doing house chores again. I just looked at, because when I had my accident, I basically stopped doing everything, right? because obviously I had my concussion, which affected my spine, and I had these really, really awkward symptoms. Like it was like all over my head, my body. So I didn't want to touch anything. I was literally a bubble boy, right? So I didn't want to touch anything or like even tap anything with my hand. Like if I hit something with my hand, my whole body would just go numb, right? So, but after I cleaned up the basement and I started to focus, all those thoughts that I was thinking about that was like attacking me on a daily basis, it was weird. It just like kind of disappeared, because I just wanted to clean the basement. I wanted to get the job done. And then when I actually finished cleaning that basement, I was like, where are my sensations? Why am I not thinking about it anymore? Right. And so that's when I said, you know what? I'm gonna start doing thing. If I can accomplish cleaning that basement by myself, right? I can do something else, right? That can amaze me, right? So, I started challenging myself every single day instead of waking up in the morning and just saying, oh God, there goes another bad day. There's nothing to look forward to. And I started to see brighter days happening for me. Once I started to actually be physically active and I started to do good things for myself, and even interacting with people. I started talking to my kids again. I started to smile more. And then I could start seeing my family, like they started to smile more, and that because they started to smile more, the energy in the house was started to become more positive, right? And it was a slow process, but eventually there was a point where it just seemed like it skipped a couple of gaps and everything was okay. And I was like, wow, this is crazy how when you really put your mind into something and you change the way you think, holy man, like your life changes with it, like complete difference. Like I was like, there is such a huge difference from someone that doesn't love themselves from to someone that actually like loves themselves and takes care of themselves and really appreciates themselves, right? So if you're at a stage where it's tough to even look at yourself in the mirror, or you're looking at yourself and you're telling yourself you're a disappointment because you haven't achieved a lot, and you set a lot of goals, but and you're just like, I'm never going to reach it. Don't listen to that chatter in your mind telling you all those things, right? That's just one side of your mind telling you these things. You don't have to agree with what your mind tells you. You can step in and say, no, I don't have to believe in that. I really do believe in myself. I really do believe that I can make things happen. Everything that I thought was impossible to do, I'm going to make it possible because, I believe in myself so much that, that I can make that reality come true. Right. And that is the mindset that you want to, put in here. Right. And that's going to kickstart you so that you can wake up in the morning and instead of hitting the snooze button like 10 times, like, right when the alarm comes off, you're off your bed because you're so excited about the day. You're so excited about doing something positive for yourself. You're so excited about like, about your tomorrows, because you're going to be like, today I'm going to do something great. Then whatever I do today that's great is going to make my tomorrow even greater, right? And these are those little steps, these pat that I mean, this is the path that you're creating for yourself, right? And I used to be just like, when is that day gonna come where I can just wake up in the morning and smile and be happy? And that's not gonna work, right? If you're always thinking negative, but you want to be happy, that it just doesn't work that way, right? So that's why I always say, you have to create your reality by doing something physical, right? And there is manifestation, right? You can manifest things. If you think about it a lot, it will come true. But if you're always thinking negative, the first thing that's gonna come, because you're thinking about negativity so much, is something negative. Even though on the back of your mind you want something positive, you're like, I'm trying to manifest happiness, I'm trying to manifest great days and all that stuff, but it's not happening. It's because your negative thoughts are way too powerful, because that energy is too strong for any of that happiness to actually, to come to fruition, right? So you need to basically get your positive thoughts, which is being overshadowed by the negative thoughts, and bring the positive thoughts forward, right? So then when you start manifesting, you start thinking about a lot, then those positive things are going to start happening into your life. Oh man, I missed a whole bunch of stuff. Shell, sometimes our darkest days are needed to help find this the light and motivate us to find our true happiness. Carla, so true, Michelle, I believe. So I'm just reading chat. Shell, unfortunately, after having endured many years of emotional abuse and belittling my self-esteem was affected for a very long time, it wasn't until I overcame anxiety and depression that I realized. So Shell, if Shell was one of my first guests on RLQ with you, which is a live show that I have done, and I brought her as a guest. So if you do want to check out her story, I might repost that list. I mean, on my page, so that you can watch me and her talk about what she had to go through, because she went through a hard time too, right, Shell? Like she basically had to live with her mom, who basically like told her that you have to live this, you have to do this, you have to live like this, and that caused Michelle Shell to be to have her depression, and she made that choice to say, you know what, I need to leave my house. I need to start working on myself, my own life, and create my own reality, because I have to create my happiness, right? And she did exactly that. And now, she is so happy, especially with Bean, right? Yeah, it was a great life. It was a great life that we did. So, or you know what? Maybe I'll just have Shell come back again, because I love bringing her on, and we can do another RLQ with you. Anybody, if anybody here on the chat right now wants to be live, come live and share me your story, I would love for you to message me, and then I can set up appointment, and we can do a live with me and you, and we could talk about your story. Right, Shell? It was a great experience. So I do want to show you some stuff. Okay, some of the stuff that I went through. I did a segment like this before, but it was a while back. But I wanted to show you some of the stuff that I was consuming during the time I was going through my darkness. And you guys know that I was taking medication during that time, because my panic attacks were so bad that I couldn't breathe anymore, right? And there were many days I thought I was going to die on that spot, because my anxiety was so bad, and then there's one time I was brought to I took myself to the hospital, and the nurse there was like, the only thing that I can think of right now is for you to take this pill. And I was like, what is this? And then he says, trust me, you're going to be able to breathe after you take it. And then I was like, and I hate taking pills. I'm like the guy that's like, I don't want to see the doctor. I don't want to pop anything in my mouth, and I don't want to swallow anything. Right. But at that point, I was like, just give me whatever it takes, because I literally cannot breathe. I had this thing over my face for like 3 hours. Right. So I started taking these pills. You guys know these bottles, right? Right. I still, I didn't actually trash these, because I knew one day that if I were able to help motivate others and inspire others, I would like to show these to people, and tell them that that I went through these, but I was able to wean off of them, so that I continue with my life without medication. Right. And, I think one of the hardest things was, okay, I started off with half a milligram. Okay. So I was just like half of these pills. And it got so bad that it became 1 milligram. And then it was 2 milligrams. And then, I was just like, there was a point where I went to the hospital, and I was pacing back and forth and yelling at the top of my lungs, and everyone was looking at me. Right. And the doctor gave me one of these tablets, and it didn't do anything for me. And then he's like, here, take another. And I'm like, what? I just took one. And it's like, you need to take it. So I took two that day, 2 milligrams, and instantly I could breathe again. Right. And then that's when I went home, and I said, you know what, maybe I should start taking more. So I started taking 3 milligrams of that, okay, a day. I started off as half a pill. And then my doctor said, I don't think that's enough. I think you should take more. She gave me 10 milligrams of this stuff. Okay. So I was taking 3 milligrams of the antidepressant, and then 10 milligrams of this one every single day. So that was causing me to get more anxious, because even though it was helping me at that time, and it helped me sleep, but it made me feel like a zombie. Like, it literally, I woke up in the morning and my eyes were like wide open, and I just walked around like I didn't exist, like some guy that's just breathing. Right. And I didn't want to live my life like that, And I was like, how am I supposed to continue my life taking all this medication right? And it even brought me a little bit more sad, right? Because I thought that I was going to take it for the rest of my life until I started to focus more. And one day I was gonna pop my fourth pill, I think. Before I took it, this was after I cleaned up the basement. Okay, I was just about to pop the pill, and then I said to myself, "How come I'm not anxious? So if I'm not anxious right now, why am I taking this pill?" Right? So that's when I decided I put the pill back into the container, and I said, "I'm gonna try not taking it for a month and see what happens." I have nothing to lose, right? I have nothing to lose. If I go back and I start panicking again, well, I'll just start taking it again. But if I stop taking it and nothing happens and I actually feel better and I start thinking a little bit more clearly, then I'm heading the right direction, right? So a month passed and I made it. I was like, oh wow, I'm down to 3 pills now because like I'm not so dependent on that medication, right? I was able to operate perfectly fine without having to pop 4 pills a day, right? And then so I basically set up a goal for myself that within a certain period of time that I would be able to wean off all of my medication, right? So the first one took about a month, and then the second pill took about another month, and the third pill another month. So during that time, within 3 to 4 months, I was able to wean off the 3 milligrams of those pills, right? And then the hardest one was the last one, right? Because I was just like, if I am able to just not take that last pill and overcome that, then I am going to be medication free. That is such a huge accomplishment for me, for someone who thought to myself that, I'm going to take these pills for the rest of my life, right? I'm going to go check back the chat in a second. And that day when I stopped taking the pill and after a month had passed, wow, I was so proud of myself for being able to go through that. Because prior to that, I was watching all these wrong videos about guys that were talking about how they were getting off the medication and they actually got worse. They got all these symptoms after they stopped taking the medication. But remember, everyone's different, right? So I wasn't looking at the guys that were saying, you know what, I was able to be successful when was able to wean off it, and continue my life. I was looking at the wrong videos about the people that were suffering more after not taking the pills, right? So it all depends on what you watch, right, guys? Whatever you watch is going to affect you on how you think, right? So that's when I stopped watching those videos and I said, you know what, I'm just going to work and do everything myself, right? So, um, yes, our mind matters. Mind is our second home where our sorrows and tears lives. We have to take care of our mind always. Yes, you're very right, Farhana. Your mind matters. That's where my motto comes from. Your mind is so important. It's like the number one thing. And I still need to get my Mind Matters t-shirt. I know I'm wearing a New Balance one right now, but you guys see my Mind Matters t-shirt right in the small font, but I do have the Mind Matters, the bigger. I'm gonna buy it one day for myself so I can show it to you. Yeah. Uh, Chris, yes, that's so true. You can create your own reality. I had hidden my true me my whole life. This ended with depression, anxiety, and panic attacks. And one day, early this year, I realized my way. I'm so happy you did that, Chris. Because once you start to realize that, man, it makes a huge difference, right, Chris? Huge difference. When you start to tell yourself that, hey, you know what? I can make things happen. I can create my own, because you are the author of your story. Remember that, guys. Like every single day, you get a blank page. You can write something on that page, right? One thing you have to do, don't leave it blank. Okay. And start, instead of writing, like starting it off with like negative thoughts, write positive things in it, right? The more you start making it a practice and you start making a habit of telling yourself, okay, today is a fresh start, right? And I am the author of my story, so I am going to create a great day for myself. I'm gonna start creating that life I want to live. I know that happiness, that joy that I've been searching for so long. I am the one that is in control right here, right? So, and before I was telling you that, when your mind is so powerful and you just don't feel like you have control over it, you start listening to everything it tells you. So if you're going through anxiety or you have depression, you are constantly listening to your mind, like chattering, like all this bad stuff, right? And you're just absorbing and accepting it and saying, you know what, yeah, you're right. My life isn't that great. I'm not going to be successful. People think I'm like weak and all that kind of stuff, right? But it's not, right? It all depends on what you like, your perspective. You have to change that perspective of what your mind is telling you, right? And say, you know what, this like my mind is creating this reality I don't want to live in, right? So I need to be the guy, the person in charge, right, of who's controlling my mind. Is my mind the controller, or am I or am I the one that's supposed to be controlling my mind, right? Joanne, my 15-year-old son just been put on antidepressants for his depression and social phobia, and I feel he's too young. There, I think you'd be surprised. I think there's a lot of people his age that are taking the medication, and sometimes it is a way that can help them, get to a level, because when you're in that state, it's like you don't know where to run to, you don't know what to do, and you're just like, I need to take something to at least help calm myself, right? Because it's like, man, depression is really, it really hits you, right? So at that point, you're just like, I just need something to help me settle down a bit, right? But at the same time, if you can get your son to just also not just be so dependent on the medication, because there is going to a point that might happen, because it did with me, that I started to become really dependent on the pills. And I just said, you know what? The answer for me to just not thinking about sadness is just pop these pills, right? But then I realized that in order for me to have a balance with my life and depression, that I have to be in charge of my life as well, right? And that's about strengthening your mindset. So if you can talk to your son and maybe like, just tell him that there is also another step, right? Like medication is one part of it, but the other part is also you know, trying to create positivity for yourself, right? And it's what you like, they're on social media all the time, right? So they still have a choice of what to watch, what to listen, right? Spend less time like listening to like the stuff that doesn't really affect your life at all. I know sometimes it's nice to listen to stuff that makes you laugh and stuff like that, right? But if you want to strengthen your mindset, then choose to listen to stuff that's going to strengthen your mindset, right? Choose to watch stuff that can help you motivate yourself so that you can wake up in the morning and say, you know what? I'm tired of being sad. I'm tired of depression. I got to do something about my life, right? So that I can start, making my life better. I can start retraining the way I think so that my mind and myself and my heart can work together as one so that I can start working on that life of pure excitement, right? Because you want to have your life is going to be like a roller coaster, right? You're going to have all these ups and downs, but you can also make your life exciting as well, right? Depending on what you plan on doing on a daily basis. And sometimes I talk about, like, if you find that your life is boring, you have the choice to go out there and try something different that you might find exciting for yourself. And maybe like someone that's going through a really dark time, they need to try to experience something new so they can get that little extra spark to say, you know what, life isn't that bad. Life is actually really a beautiful, and great things can happen, right? So, yeah, Joanne, yeah, that's what I was worried about, him being young. He I it's a chapter in his life right now. It's a process that he's going through. But as long as you're there with him and you're there to support him, that is so crucial. Then he's gonna know, he'll be like, I don't want to see my mom worry too much about me, and he's going to make that decision for himself, hopefully one day, and he's just gonna, I gotta do something, because I don't want to see my mom so sad anymore and stuff like that. And that's what I was thinking to myself when my mom was there 24/7, trying to do whatever she possibly could to try to get me off that couch. And, that's why she took me out for those walks, and she made lunch, dinner, breakfast for my kids while my wife was at work and stuff. And so grateful for my mom. And I'll have my mom on the live stream again, because she was just like, "Oh, are you ready to have me on your show?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, let's do it. I'll have you on in a week." So I plan on having my mom live. Um, yeah, so that was the medication stuff. But I mean, like, I tried other stuff too, like blueberry concentrate, this blue bill vision enhancement, and this stuff was, I think, during the time. What was it? I think I had this hearing thing, right? I know it says something to do with vision enhancement, but I had this hearing thing, where I thought that I had fluids stuck inside, and so that caused me to be so anxious after that too. I almost went to get my eardrums drained. Like they would like basically take a pin and pop a hole so they can drain the liquid or whatever. That's what I thought, but luckily I didn't do that. And I had a really, I went to a hearing doctor to get things checked. And even when they were telling me that, no, your hearing is fine, but I was telling myself, no, it's not, like it feels like I just walked out of a rock concert and I can't hear any. It feels like there's a helmet over my head, right? And I woke up every single day with that. And not just that, but I had this, like, my ears were ringing. So, and when I went to sleep, when I closed my eyes, if it sounded like there were crickets chirping inside my head, right? So it was never a silent, I was never calm. There was always some sort of noise in my head. And on top of that, with my hearing and the ears ringing, I had this pressure in my head that I felt like somebody was like grabbing their hands and squeezing my skull, right? And that was another sensation that I had on top of everything else. And also, I had to basically, like, as I slept, I needed to put something behind my head, right? So that so I can have my head lifted up a bit, because once I had my head straight, my whole forehead and my whole side of my face was it fell asleep, right? So I couldn't sleep. It was so hard. And at the same time, I was crying while going through all that on a daily basis. And man, when I look back at it, I'm just telling myself, how the heck did I get out of that? But it happened, right? Because I made the choice that I wanted to see my joy and happiness again. And when I made that goal of mine that nothing is going to stop me from achieving that, I worked on myself every single day. Like, I'm telling you, I like that bullet train I tell you that I sit on, that bullet train, like going like 200 miles per hour. That's what I'm sitting on every single day. And whatever happened in the past, I don't think about it. I'm so focused on what's ahead of me that, obviously, like the haunted house stuff and anything that's family related or anything that brings me joy and happiness, I will go back and I will look back at those times because it brought me joy and happiness, right? But if I made a mistake or if I did something that I was unhappy about, I'm just like, that happened in the past. What am I going to do today to fix it so that I can keep moving forward, so that there's nothing in front of my way, right? So if you can picture yourself on this bullet train going at 200 miles per hour, right, and just pretend you're sitting there on the driver's seat, right? If you can set that for yourself up here, man, you're going to be unstoppable. I'm telling you, it works. It really works. And also, don't forget the green light, the green Rubik's cube video about the green. That thing works too. Close the chapter of the pad and open a new one for your future. That's a great quote, actually. Very, very good. That's from Chris. Joanne has started cooking. He wants to be a chef, so I'm trying his mind. Oh my gosh, that is so awesome, Joanne. Like, literally, like cooking. Like, I love doing chores. I love washing the dishes. I love, like, just getting in there, because, like, at the end of the day, like, when I clean stuff, I step back and I look at it, I'm just like, man, that was worth it. It's such a great accomplishment. So for your son, if he loves to cook, you make that a daily thing for him, like, try a new, like, cooking. There's like so many recipes, right? Like, you can cook with them and just try out these different things, right? As long as you can bring that joy, like, that's amazing that he has a passion for that, right? That is so important, right? Because he could build upon that passion, and then he could be like, this is what I really, really want to do. And if he can do that on a daily basis, I'm telling you, he could probably, like, he'll probably stop taking that medication sooner than you think, right? Because it's all about bringing that joy and happiness back. And when I talk about finding that joy and happiness, I had to bring stuff back into my life too, because I pushed everything away, right? Like I always talk about, like the singing, right? And like going out and mowing the lawn, or even going out with my family to the shopping mall, stuff like that. That brings me joy and happiness, right? I brought it all back into my life, and it made such a huge difference. So yeah, that cooking is amazing. I need to learn how to cook, because my wife is always like, "There's one thing you can't do, and it's cook." And I go, "Huh, trust me, I'm going to learn how to cook when I have the time. The one thing I want to do is learn how to cook." So hopefully that will happen. I'm gonna set that as one of my things to do. I gotta learn how to cook. And then I started taking these magnesium pills, and that was to help me with, because I couldn't sleep, right? So I was taking teas. I was just trying everything, because this was before I started taking the medication, because I didn't want to take pills, right? So I tried everything else that was not that was not like prescribed to me, but it didn't work because I think it was already too late for me. I was already in a point where I already felt that there is no help for me, that there's no way I can heal myself, that nothing in this world can bring me out of this darkness because I am stuck. I am stuck in this darkness and no one can help me. But I was wrong because that one person that helped me was myself. When I decided that, hey, you know what? If I'm not listening to my psychiatrist or my psychotherapist or energy heal, I had an energy healer, right? A hypnotherapist. Like I was so desperate to find an answer for them to help me, right? But I was at a point where they were trying to help me, but it was me that was blocking them. Like I wasn't like taking that information seriously enough and telling myself that, hey, you know what? If I did this exercise every day, that I'm going to be able to heal myself because I was like, I need to get fixed now. I want to wake up tomorrow morning and I want to be able to smile. And your professional help is not helping me. So, and that was just my fault, right? Because I was just very stubborn about that. And my mind was just so closed in. I just wasn't accepting anything. And that's when I started to focus, I started having more clear vision of what I really, really wanted to do. And that's when I told myself, you know what, if there's one person that's going to save you, Roger, it's yourself, right? So what are you going to do about it? You're going to wake up every single day and you're going to do something positive in your life so that you can get up on that couch, get up on that bed and tell yourself that today is going to be a positive day. Stop telling yourself that today is going to be a bad day. Stop telling yourself that tomorrow is going to be horrific and that your life sucks. Because honestly, look around you, Roger. You have amazing mother. You have an amazing brother who flew all the way from Hong Kong. Your sister and your brother-in-law comes to visit you every other day. You have 5 kids that love you Why am I telling myself that my life sucks? Why? Right? So I started adding these all together, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing to myself? Why am I telling myself all these things? Yes, I do have symptoms. Yes, I have a lot of things in my life that I haven't really figured out yet, but it's not the end. It's not too late to go out and try to figure these things for yourself, right? But where does it all start from? What do you have to do for yourself in order to get yourself to build that momentum so that you can start moving forward, taking those little steps every single day so that you can reach your destination? It's when you have to when you tell yourself that, hey, listen, I have to stop listening to my mind telling me that things aren't going to work out for me. I have to start believing that things are going to get better. I have to start believing that, there's a future ahead of me, that a better version of myself is waiting for me, right? And in order for me to get there, I have to start working on a better version of myself, right? I have to start taking action. I can't spend my days lying on a couch, telling myself that, I'm never going to heal myself, that I'm never going to see better days, that that nothing good is ever going to happen to me. Because what are you doing to yourself while you're doing that? Like telling yourself all these negative things, you're creating a negative world for yourself, right? So, you have to basically, like I say all the time, right? You need to realize that you are the author of your story. No one can touch your pen, right? Take control of the pen because you're on the driver's seat, right? So you tell yourself when you wake up in the morning that, okay, today I got a blank page. Today is a new start. I am going to start today. I'm going to do this, right? Because today is going to be an amazing day, right? And then you just do that every single day before you make your bed because like during that healing time I was watching this video of this guy who's talking about the first accomplishment of the day is making your bed, right? Because once you do that, you're going to feel a sense of accomplishment. I know it's small, but it's still an accomplishment, right? And that one accomplishment will tell you, hey, you know what's the next thing I can accomplish today? And then you start getting a habit of doing that, right? So before you go to bed, you tell yourself, did I do enough? Right? How much of the day did I make useful of my time, right? How much of that time during the day did I spend thinking and overthinking and worrying about things that might not even happen in the future, right? Then when you start strengthening your mindset, you can start, using that energy and start thinking about what are the things that I can do in my life that can make it better, right? And then tomorrow you can say, okay, today I'm going to start working on what I was thinking about yesterday, because if I start working on it today, right, even though it's a little step, it's gradually, eventually going to become my reality, right? So, whew, where's my water? Well, so I'm so sorry I missed the chat. I know you guys are talking amongst yourselves, so that's amazing. I'm so glad that you guys are doing. When I talk, I sometimes I get on a roll and I just keep talking. So, whoa. Hey, Melissa, how are you doing? Self affirmation and telling yourself you are worth it helps me get through some steps. Definitely, Melissa. Those affirmations are so important. Um, because we often don't really say that to ourselves, right? Sometimes we just hope that someone comes up to us and tells that to us, like, hey, like, don't worry about everything. Today is going to be great. You are super amazing. You are unstoppable, but you have to remind yourself that you can tell that to yourself too, right? As a reminder, right? We're so busy with our everyday life that we tend to forget about ourselves, right? Most of the time, whether we're focusing on other people or you're focusing on like stuff at work. But then you have to remember that your world wouldn't exist if you're not there, right? So you have to start taking care of yourself more. And remember, guys, like I talk about loving yourself. Loving yourself is so crucial. Um, Before I didn't do any of that. Like I took care of myself to a certain extent, but I take care of myself a lot more than I did before. You know, and all that energy that you put towards yourself is all a part of that process of you being to able to help you get to a level where you can tell yourself that, hey, you know what, I'm actually capable of doing amazing things, right? um and I didn't actually think I had the strength to overcome my darkness, because I never thought that I was that strong. I felt so weak. Like I felt almost like I was a different person, right? I know I have some strength, but I didn't know I was that strong, right? um and I think a lot had to do was I had a lot of inner pain. I don't know where it came from. It could be my past life. It could be from my. I had a great childhood, right? But I think one of the things about me is that whenever there's an argument or whenever there's some sort of like whenever I get sad or whatever, I don't cry. Well, I never cried before. I never yelled, and all of that stuff, not and just not being able to release it. I was holding it in. So over a certain amount of years, right? There's just so much that you can take inside. And during my anxiety and my depression, everything came out. Everything came out. All my tears came out. My rage fits. And I never knew I could have rage fits like that. It just like it's literally like like all the negative stuff, like everything that I wanted to shout out for the last 20 years, it all came out, like literally. So and I wanted to show you something too. I didn't bring my it in. Do you see my pillow over there? There's like a yellow pillow somewhere there. Oh,
Oh yeah.
okay. So there's one thing. Like there was a time when I couldn't sleep, and I was figuring, yeah, I was figuring of something. What can I do to hold? Right. This is before I had Kona. So I got this little smiley emoji pillow. So what I would do is I would before I listen to music, right, to kind of like music is very soothing. But I wanted to grab onto something, right? So before I went to bed, I would look at the smiley face and I would be like, one day, I want to be like this pillow here. I want to be able to smile and I guess sometimes stick out your tongue. But I would hold it like this, right? And I would just hold it as tight as possible. I'll just hold it as tight as possible. And I would just think about one day, I want to smile like this pillow. And hopefully when I wake up in the morning, I can smile again. And I did that like every single night. It helped me go to sleep. So if you're having trouble sleeping, I'm telling you, like, if you can get something that you can look at, that you can feel that sense of joy or happiness, even if it's a little even if it's just like a little bit of like positive energy, grab a pillow like this and just hold it every single night, right? And gradually, it might not seem a lot, but it will affect you up here, the way you think. So when you wake up in the morning, at least you have something positive to think about, right? This image of yourself smiling, this image of this, right? No, what that I used to think that I would never be able to smile and laugh again with my family, but you know, I made it become my reality, and that's why I, you know, strongly believe that you that anyone can change your life, right? But it's all a matter of how willing you are to get to that point, and how hard you're going to work for it, right? Because it is going to take a lot of hard work. But you know what? Through all those times that you're waiting, that patience, you're going to learn how to be patient, right? And you're gonna find out how strong you really are when you thought you were weak, right? You're going to realize, that you came here on this planet because you were strong enough to live it. You guys must have heard that saying, through in movies and all that stuff, right? Because it's so true. You just haven't realized it until life has thrown all these obstacles at you, right? That's the only way you're going to find out whether you're strong enough, right? If you can overcome these challenges. And once you overcome one of them, you're like, hey, you know what? That was tough, man. But I never knew I had the strength to get through it. And if life throws you something that may not be as bad and you walk through it, and you're just like, hey, you know what? I am strong. I should be proud of myself. You should be proud of yourself right now for how far you've come so far. Sometimes we forget about all the accomplishments that we've already achieved, right? Everything that we've gone through to be where we are today. You have to remember, you have to look at that, right? What have you gone through in your life so far that you should be proud of? You should be proud of yourself that you're still standing up, and sometimes you're able to smile, right? But you're still fighting every single day, right? It's so important to realize that, because then you could tell yourself, hey, you know what? My life isn't that bad, right? It's not as bad as I thought it was. And even before that, I was telling myself, and to get myself out of that darkness, I had to compare my life with other people's lives. I'm talking about the people that don't live in homes, that don't have meals, that like don't eat. People that aren't able to actually physically get off their bed because they are sick. They only have a few days left to live, right? And I'm here. I can breathe. I still have a place to sleep. I can eat. And I have family. Some people have no family. They don't. Like, I just look at that, and that kind of made me realize that, hey, you know what, Roger, your life isn't that bad. Come on, man, right? You should be grateful for what you have. You need to realize that, when you like, another thing that you got to do when you wake up in the morning is just think about the things that you already have, that so many millions of people they don't have, right? And then you could be like, I need to start thinking more about that, how grateful I should be, and how I should appreciate all the things that I already have. And then you have to continue moving forward from there, right? And that helps too. I know sometimes it's hard to look back at the people and say, the people that are more less fortunate, but it helps to look at that perspective, to remind yourself that you have some pretty good things in your life, right? Roger, you have been amazing, and I have learned so much from you, and I thank you. Oh, you're so very welcome, Melissa. You're very, very welcome. I just love helping people, and making you guys realize that life is tough, right? Life is very difficult, and we're all going to go through some dark times and dark chapters in our life, but we are given a chance every single day to make choices. We all have the ability to make choices, right? So what are your choices for today? What are you going to do today that you can do, that you can make tomorrow a better day, right? And everyone has that ability. So I just want to make people realize that, because when I was going through my darkness, I never thought my perspective of life wasn't like that at all, right? I was playing the waiting game, and not doing anything about it, right? So, and the longer I wait, the longer I'm gonna wait, right? Because it's just like, when you're waiting, you're just wishing for those brighter days to happen, wishing for, you know, things to be not so dark anymore, right? But you know, putting that hard work out, it sucks to tell yourself, man, it's going to be a lot of hard work, and it might take a long time. But when that day comes, because you work so hard and you took those little steps, man, are you going to be so proud of yourself, right? You're not only going to be proud of yourself, but you're also going to teach yourself how to be patient, right? Without patience, you're not going to achieve success, right? You're not, unless you have a one hit wonder, you won $1 million or whatever, and you just got lucky. But I mean, I'm just thinking like winning the lottery. I mean, you're missing the journey. You're missing an entire journey. If you won the lottery, if you won $1 million today, right now, you're going to miss a part of your life of how to become successful, how hard it is to work to become successful, because it just landed on your lap, right? So I think it is important for our journey to learn to go through these experiences, right? Because our life is going to be filled with these experiences, right? We want to try to absorb as much of those moments as possible, right? And embrace them as they happen, right? And I'm not saying winning the lottery is bad, because I mean that's a lot of money, right? But I'm just saying that it's the process between working hard and achieving success. That's those moments you will always remember, right? And you can actually take your success story and you can inspire other people as well, right? Just like how I use my story, and I try to tell people about finding the light when you're in darkness. When I never believed that there was going to be a light for me, right? Even though I was like literally hanging on to a little thin thread of hope. I still had that little hope, right? But I made that little thin thread become stronger and thicker, and I started to climb it up each day by day as I started to believe in myself more and I started to love myself more. And then the more I did that, the more I can see that that vision of myself laughing with my mother, laughing with my brother, laughing with my wife and kids, and all that kind of stuff, right? And thank goodness, thank God that it became my reality. So remember, always have. Hey, Sai is here. I'm so sorry, guys. I missed the chat. Listening to your message makes me feel better every time and learn a lot and everything. Thank you. You're very, very welcome. I'm so glad you joined my YouTube live, Sai. Thank you everyone for spending the time to. I mean, for especially for those who actually started from the beginning. And how long have I been talking now? An hour, guys. So I showed you my pillow. I showed you my little thing. But yeah, I mean, there's so much. Like when I first started my YouTube channel, I wanted to like basically split up my story into like 8 chapters. So if you go into my videos, you can see like there's chapter 1 and chapter 2, and I stopped there, right? Because it's not like I didn't want to continue, but because I told myself that I need to focus on one thing, right? So I basically stopped doing my YouTube, and I started to focus on Facebook, right? And then I start because I needed to put more content on my Facebook out. But now, like I have my YouTube studio go, I mean, my YouTube going, and I don't know if I'm going to continue the chapter thing because I can do this through live. I try to talk as much as I can about what happened during the time, but there's much more that happened to me during those 2 years of me, trying to get through that darkness, right? But I think eventually I might continue that because I really want you to get a sense of how dark it was for me, because the more you see like, oh man, Roger really, really went through a really dark time. I can't imagine him ever, like, how did he do it? But he was able to do it. So it gives you that sense of like, like if I worked as hard as he can, then or think the way that Roger thinks, right? Then I can definitely do it. I can definitely find my joy and happiness just like he did, right? So, whew, yes, patience is the key to success. We should try to learn how to be patient, all the negative and darkness. Yeah, definitely, man. Patience is like you know, patience. I would have to agree that it is one of the hardest things to learn. There was this one time I burned my hand, and I had blisters on both of my hands. This was like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, or something like that. And I thought I was gonna go. Thought I was gonna go depressed again, right? But I told myself, I reminded myself, my body's going to heal, and things are going to be better. And I think it took like 4 months, I think, until my hands, the blisters went away, my skin healed, and all that stuff. So, and then at that time, I was telling myself, what am I supposed to learn from this? Because I'm in pain. My hands were burning, but I knew that this happened to me because it was just another test that life gave me to work on my patience, right? And definitely at the end of the day, I really I looked at it as kind of like, even though I went through pain again, I still looked at it as a blessing in disguise, right? I learned something valuable from that experience. Bean heard Kona bark and looked around. Where is Kona? Oh, I think she's downstairs now. Yeah, Kona's actually downstairs, so she barked. That's so funny. Oh man, that's so hilarious. But I think I'm going to end my live soon. I have so much more to say, but I know you guys the weekend, and I know you guys have things to do. Again, if you just joined right now, remember there's a that you can download your free desktop wallpapers. They will look gorgeous on your computer or your laptop. If you don't use a laptop or desktop a lot, then you can always go the second link below, and that will take you to my website, and you'll be able to download the mobile lock screens and wallpapers for your own phone. There's like 30 to choose from, I think. Like Shell is having a hard time trying to pick one, but just download them all. That way you can just, and every single day, when you pick up the phone or whatever, you can always see a quote that can remind you that, your life can be amazing. You could change your life. And you have the power to do so. And remember, you are strong enough. You will always be strong. You will always be strong enough to overcome life's challenges. Okay. So strengthen your mindset. Your mind matters. Remember, take care of yourself this weekend. Love yourself as much as possible. You're going to see amazing changes in your life. I'm telling you, right? Once you start focusing that energy and you start realizing that, that things are going to get better, that you can create this beautiful story of yours, right? That, you know, that no matter how dark it gets, that there is always going to be a light waiting for you there, right? And sometimes, you can't just wait for it. You got to work towards it, and eventually you're going to get there. You're going to get there. Okay. So I love you guys so much. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, thank you, Shell, for Hana, for Sai, Chris, all of you guys, everyone else that joined the chat. I'm gonna mention a couple more. Oh, my mouse froze. I must have missed a bunch here. But thank you again so much. My next live, you know what? Maybe I'm going to do a live tomorrow on Facebook, since a lot of people might have missed my YouTube live. So maybe I'll see you guys tomorrow live in my car, probably, because today I was like, everyone, I'm doing a live inside the house. So, try to be as quiet as possible. So, all right. Bye, Melissa. Bye, Shell, Farhana, Joanne, Chris. I'll see you guys all later. Wait, Chris said, the longer you wait, something will happen. The darker things will be. You have to stand up, focus on yourself, and fight the dark with the light inside yourself. We all have that light in our souls. That is definitely so true. Goodbye, Joanne. Remember, your son, cooking is going to help. And it's going to bring joy and happiness. I really believe that it will. So I will catch you next live. Thank you so much, everybody. And hopefully I'll do my live tomorrow on Facebook in my car with my sunglasses. Remember, your mind matters. I love you guys so much. Take care. Bye.